Welcome to the Steady Worth podcast. Today we are being joined by Isadora Velazquez, who goes by Isa, who is an immigration attorney in Miami. I'm going to pass it over to her so she can just tell us a bit about herself.
Hi, Gabe. Thank you so much. As you
Yes.
mentioned, my name is Isadora Velazquez. Everyone calls me Isa because my name is a mouthful. My mom is from Venezuela and she loves soap operas, so she gave me a dramatic name. And I'm a Puerto Rican immigration attorney, and I'm thrilled to be here today with you.
Awesome. So glad you are here. So can you tell us just some of your origin story? Like, how did you become an immigration attorney?
Well, I became an immigration attorney because when I started studying undergrad here in Miami, I noticed the immigrant community was ignored, and I didn't understand why it was so difficult for them to get status. And I actually got married fairly young to somebody who was from Argentina, and I also appreciated how difficult it was for him to get that legal status, how the many hurdles that he had. So that's when after graduating from the University of Miami, I decided I was going to go to law school, become an attorney, mainly focused on immigration so that I could help that community in particular, the community that was ignored. People often say, why don't they do it legally? Why is it so difficult? I wanted to be able to explain why is it so difficult, because it really is. Give them that voice that they lack. So that's why I became an immigration attorney, because I fell in love and I wanted to fix it.
Yes, no, I love that. I was once reading a book it was a finance book, but it was talking about some of the top careers to go into, and it actually had immigration attorney as one of them. And this was maybe 20 years ago, but I guess that book already knew that it knew everything that you know already, is that it's so difficult. I feel like everything about the legal system, it's like, why is it this hard? And the average person is trying to do this, but it's like they have no idea what to do and it can't even speak the language.
Yep, exactly. And they don't tell you, not only is it difficult and you can't speak the language, it's the whole egg and the chicken game. You think I go there to the US and I'll figure it out once I'm there, but that's not really the right way. And nobody explains it. So I wanted to give that voice and explain it ahead of time. So that's why I chose this career.
I love that. So you have your own practice in doing immigration. Have you always had your own practice, or how did your career start out?
Actually, I opened my own practice in 2019. Interestingly, I did so because I had a practice before since 2010 with several partners. The one in 2010, I learned a partnership is very difficult and it dissolved in a very tumultuous way. The ones that I've had after, although it was an amicable dissolution, it was mainly that I loved my staff and I wanted to protect them. And it's hard to do when you have partners or when you're working with somebody. When you have your own firm, it's easier to control how you treat your team and to actually work as a team instead of as staff. So that's why I opened my own firm in 2019 instead of working with partners. Before, I worked as an associate attorney, getting that experience. My first job was actually as a state attorney. I like putting people in jail, which is a contradiction with what I do now, but I
Right.
actually highly enjoyed working at the Miami-Dade state attorney. That was a good job. I miss it, but I like what I do now more.
So before you were a state attorney, so it's like, break that down. Is that like a prosecutor,
Yes.
or so like like a district attorney? Or that'd be like would you be called like a DA? Like a
Yep. I would be a
okay.
state local DA. And it's a great job. If you want to be a litigator, it's an excellent job because from the beginning, they just throw you there and you have the experience of being in court. And in Miami, at least, they give you a lot of experience and a lot of leeway to really think about it. Is this a crime worth prosecuting? Do you have enough evidence? Which is what was great about that job in particular. Sadly, in other places, which is why sometimes prosecutors get a bad reputation, you don't have that much leeway. But in Miami, I loved it because it was great to work with a team in which you could evaluate the case and say, is this worth it? Is this really a crime which we should be going forward? In other places that I've noticed now that I do immigration law, I see crimes that I'm like, seriously, we're really
Right.
wasting our resources on this. So I can't say the same, but the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, great office to work at.
Well, it seems like also having that experience, like you said, then you would know, like if some of your clients are in trouble, you can like know, okay, maybe they'll push it this far or they won't push it this far, but you've already been in the seat of someone who is doing the pushing on possibly some of the clients you are defending who may be going through the immigration process. So it kind of, I don't want to say you all have like a crystal ball onto the other side, or you have like a good view of what the other side would be thinking or doing.
100%. Also, now I'm a little bit seasoned, and the running joke that a good attorney knows the law and a better attorney might know the judge or the attorney on the other side. I have the connections of knowing how it works, understanding criminal law, and being able to explain to my clients the criminal case is over. Now we're working on the immigration case, which is different. Maybe if you pled guilty and now you're telling me you didn't do it, now it's not the time to fight it. And I may have the connection also with the criminal side, maybe trying to convince them not to move forward or to get another plea agreement. So it was a great experience that definitely plays into my immigration career now.
Awesome. So I'm going to rewind us back. So right now we were touching on like you being an immigration attorney, you having started your own practice, you starting off with partners, and you branching off in 2019 to start your own practice. But I'm going to go all the way back to like pre-college. So I'm going to go back to that first money memory because we love to touch on, money and finance and how this relates to entrepreneurship. So tell me, what was the first time in your life where you realized it's like, oh my gosh, I actually need money for this, where you knew an instance where understood that you needed money for something?
So I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I was a swimmer. I love to swim. I was in the national team. It was a lot of fun. Being in any sport can be very expensive, and my parents, they may have the funds. Actually don't know if they had the funds back then, but they basically told me you have to figure it out, pay it on your own. But I think they did it purposefully, because in my swim team had classes. They would give the members of the team would give classes to other people, learn how to swim. And I think my parents were forcing me to be one of the instructors, because I myself learned how to swim as part of the little kids who would be pay. So that's when I learned about money, because my parents would tell me, "Oh, you want to go to this competition? Well, it costs this amount of money. You should be teaching, and that way you can pay for it." And back then I was 11 years old, so I started teaching little kids how to swim when I was 11, and I did so until I was 15. So while little kids were babysitting, I was teaching how to swim, and it actually forced me. My parents would not give me, you would get an allowance. That was not my case. I would have to work as a swim instructor. So I would train every day, and then on weekends do swimming instruction. My life revolved around swimming when I lived in Puerto Rico.
I love that. So are you being a swimming instructor like at the facility, or are you doing this on the side? Like, is this your first entrepreneur gig?
So it was at the facility, and it was pretty funny because for some reason I haven't been, I'm not really good with children, I admit. So for some strange reason, I was 13, 14, but they would put me in the master's classes. So I would be teaching adults in their 40s and 50s how to swim, but I'm 13 years old. It was a very interesting dynamic. Teaching an adult, telling an adult, this is how you have to hold your hands and move, and this is how you hold your breath. But this is how how I paid for my competitions, my equipment, because my parents, I guess they were trying to teach me. Now I look back at it, I'm thinking they probably did have the funds to do it, but they were forcing me because it was something my team provided. It's also how the team funded itself. So
Sure.
they compensated the members of the team if you took the time to also teach others.
Yeah, so your parents were installing a solid work ethic from the very beginning. So I'm just curious, like how long did you run the swimming thing for? Did you like, it seems like people who start swimming that early sometimes like end up going to college swimming or do it through high school. Is this like, did
Yeah,
this passion go on for a while, or did it just,
I tried. When I was 15, we moved from Puerto Rico to Venezuela, so I had to stop teaching, but I did keep swimming, and I stayed swimming until I went to college and University of Miami. But I was not good enough to get a scholarship back then, because I stopped swimming professionally when I was 15 years old. So I also stopped teaching back then, but I did continue working. In Venezuela, it was a little bit harder to work as a teenager, because it was a new country and I was still trying to get used to. And it was interesting in Venezuela, they actually forced me to work at the US Embassy because I went to an international school. So instead, the school promoted the whole working as a diplomat or in a diplomatic capacity, but it was more filling in envelopes and sending them away. I mean, I was 16 years old, but yeah, my parents have always forced me to work one way or another.
What a great experience though, getting to work at it at an embassy at the age of like 15, 16. Is that around the age you were doing?
Yeah, and the embassy in Caracas that just reopened, very nice. I'm very happy that it reopened because it really is a facility that I'm hoping is used more often. Now that I'm an immigration attorney, even more, I'm excited that hopefully it will lead to better results.
Yes. So you born and raised for a part of your childhood in Puerto Rico, then you moved to Venezuela. So that's a lot of moving around, lots of different countries. So what was your belief about money as a kid? I mean, I know that your parents are installing a good work ethic into you, but what was money like growing up?
It's funny because for some reason I always thought like I had to make it on my own. Like you money is something that you make. Interestingly, though, when I was growing up, because of my dad working for somebody, I always thought you make money by working for somebody. And it was not until I became an adult and I started seeing my friends around me, and actually until I married somebody from South America and the more, I guess, Latin America Hispanic mentality came by. My parents, I think, are more, although my mom is Venezuelan and my dad is Puerto Rican, I would dare say they're more Americanized and they're more used to the corporate mentality that you work for somebody and you make your money and that's American dream. Hispanics and people from Latin America are more, they're more entrepreneurs and they don't like to work for somebody. And it was then that my mentality changed. You don't have to work for somebody to make your money. You can make it on your own. Also, when I was younger, it was more like spend, who needs to save. And then when I became older, I'm more frugal. I admit I am more focused, especially after learning from people like you. I'm more focused on how do I invest properly and how do I continue to grow on my own, but investing and saving, it has changed drastically as a teenager, as not even as a teenager, I would dare say until my 30s, I was sorry, wasting money. And now after my 30s, it has changed drastically.
I love all this. So tell me, so like, what was that defining moment when because you had partners in the early, what do you call it? I wouldn't say the early 2000s, but it's like the teen 2000s. So like 2011,
2010.
10. Yeah. So what was the point where you're like, hey, I'm out of college. I have my law license. I'm not going to go to a firm. I'm going to just jump off and start this entrepreneur journey. Like, what was the thought process? Because, you could have easily taken that same thought and just been like, hey, I'm going to fill out a resume. I'm going to, hook up my resume and go to one of the firms in Miami.
Yeah. Well, in 2010, I actually went on my own the first time, but with a partner because it was actually his idea. My friend who decided we're sick and tired of, we're working very hard. We were the main breadwinners for the firm. So it was his idea to motivate me to say, we're the ones making the money for the firm. Let's just go on our own. And he was right. We went on our own. And I left that firm because he wanted to invest more on ourselves, which I appreciated him for. Meanwhile, I wanted to invest more on the firm. So we had different ideals. So I decided to split with him. But I continued thinking maybe I had to work with somebody. And it was not until I met my husband who he pushed me to say, why would you continue working with somebody when my staff was unhappy with the way the firm was working? And I worried they were going to leave me. And I actually loved working with my team. So the fear of leaving my team and the motivation from my husband, who's from Argentina, telling me, why would you work with somebody when you can do it on your own and keep the team that you love? So that's when I decided to go on my own, terrified because it's not what I'm typically used to. And that happened in my 30s. So it was a big change for me. And I would dare say that's also when I met you guys. So it was a motivation that you also provided to that I could think, okay, I can manage this. I can manage my money and do so on my own without a partner.
Awesome. I love that. So it sounds like you were, from what you're talking about, it's like you were very concerned about the culture you were building with your employees, and
Yes,
you wanted to make sure that you had a proper culture. Which I mean, it's all because I mean, our employee when you have employees, which we don't have any, is but I would like to have some at some point soon. It's like a family because I mean, it's like you almost spend. I mean, you spend at least a quarter of your day, if it's like 8 hours a day, interacting with these people. So can you tell me about the culture that you wanted to foster inside of your office?
absolutely. And the culture is essential. So important that I would dare say my firm, we spent a significant amount of money building a good manual that our team work with on together with an employment attorney, and that's because we want an all-female law firm. So the face of our firm is all female. We call ourselves the Hooters of law firms because we do hire men. We can't discriminate. That's illegal. But the men would be in accounting, or they will be the ones that fix our photocopy machine. But our team is not only all female, they are also all immigrants, because we are an immigration law firm. We want to have the empathy and to understand what our clients are going through. And we do only immigration, but we notice working with other attorneys attorneys sometimes might get sidetracked in what might be more lucrative and profitable. We see it now. Immigration is becoming popular. Sometimes attorneys want to practice immigration, not understanding that it's very difficult. We practice
Yeah.
immigration because we care. So that's the culture we wanted to build. And we spent a lot of time working on the employee manual with the staff, with the employment attorney, making it all female, at least the face, and in an immigrant focused staff and team all together so that the clients feel comfortable working with us.
Got it. So you guys have like a look that you're going for. So it's all female. Everyone is from or from another country, or not necessarily from another country, but they're not American. So they're all immigrant. And then you've now also built this manual that when somebody's getting onboarded, they know exactly what's expected of them, what their job, kind of just like what their roles are, so they can know what to expect to do in their job. Is that what you mean by the
That's our
manual?
goal. Yeah, that's what we hope. And they were also involved in their own job description. They were involved on, okay, this is what you do. You understand it, and you help create your job. So that was part of the culture itself.
I love that, because I have worked at some small firms prior to starting Steadyworth, and I feel like smaller firms don't really focus much on onboarding, and so it's almost like a free for all when you're getting onboarded at a smaller firm, because it's like, what do I do? Should I be doing this? So I love that somebody can start and know exactly what they should be doing A to Z, but also get to play a role in designing what their role is going to look like. And because I feel like when they have ownership in designing it, then it also helps them show up and be more present because they're excited about some of the stuff that they've built out that they're going to do.
Yeah, and they can bring you good ideas too. By opening up to them, my team, they tell me, oh, I can do this additional thing that maybe I didn't even think of. So I've been able to provide services to my clients that maybe I didn't even consider. Because I'll give you the best example. I have one of my top paralegals. She speaks Creole. She's excellent. She goes above and beyond on things that maybe I didn't think to offer to the client, because it's her own creative thought that she provides, and it's part of the manual thanks to her.
Yeah. So can you touch a little bit on that? So for those of us, I mean, we know somebody watching may know, may just assume that. So an immigration attorney helps someone who comes from another country get paperwork to become a citizen in the U.S. But what are the services that an immigration attorney would offer? Like, what are the use case scenarios of why someone would come to you? I know there's many, but I only know of like somebody getting citizenship. So educate me.
So our slogan is, we help people come and stay in the US legally. And the best way to describe it is, on the coming to the US, we help people apply for non-immigrant and immigrant visas. The non-immigrant visas would be the temporary visas. If you're coming as a student, if you're coming for a temporary basis as a tourist, or if you're coming to work, but you know that your work visa will eventually expire. That's non-immigrant. Immigrant would be somebody who's coming to eventually seek a green card. You're coming because a family is petitioning for you, or your employment is petitioning for you. Those are green card based petitions. Now, once you're here, we can help you become a US citizen. We love suing the government. It's a lot of fun. So if your case is taking a lot of time, we can sue them. And we do removal cases. Those are the cases that are sadly now becoming very popular. They may involve detention. Maybe now you're here and they're trying to kick you out. I will fight for your right to stay in the US. That's in a nutshell what we do.
Awesome. So you guys have I didn't even realize that the point of like applying for like a non-citizen visa versus a citizen visa. I didn't even understand that there were two different ones that somebody would apply for. So that makes a lot of
It's
sense.
like applying for a visa or applying for a green card. So that a green card would be the immigrant, because you're immigrating to the US. Non-immigrant, you're leaving.
So, so for those of you watching, Issa and I used to be in a networking group, and that's how we met. And I remember that sometimes she would come to this networking group and she would be giving her commercial and she'd say, "Today I'm going to jail." and because she would be going to speak to her clients who are in jail. Can you tell me, like, so you also have clients who are in jail? What would they be being detained for?
So it's very interesting you mentioned. So my team actually loves to work on visas. Meanwhile, I love to do removal work. And people get detained for all sorts of reasons. We normally, when we think of detention, we think of people committing crimes. When in reality, for the immigrant community, that's not the case. You can be detained as an immigrant simply for overstaying your visa, for crossing the border. And understand that crossing the border, overstaying your visa, these are not crimes. These are civil penalties. So it's very frustrating, but that's something that happens. Also, you can overstay your visa sometimes and not even know about it. Now, especially in the digital era, your visa is not dictated by what you have on your passport. The time you're allowed in the US is dictated by a form called the I-94. They don't give it to you anymore. In the good old days, they would give you this little cardboard and you would know you have to leave by this date. Not anymore. Now they just tell you online. If you don't check it, you might overstay and you might be detained.
Wow.
And of course, you can always sadly be detained if you have committed a crime, or let me actually state that correctly. If you've been charged with a crime, which is very frustrating because sometimes somebody is named like you, or you didn't do it. But if you have been charged, and you could be detained and placed in what we call deportation removal proceedings. So those are the clients that I visit, and the story is typically I didn't do it; it was not me, but because you've been charged with it, that could lead to detention.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's tough.
So inside of your office, how many people total are you in there?
Right now we are six including me. Yeah, we're five in my team, and then I have one remote paralegal. She is in law school in Baltimore. Hopefully she'll come back soon. It's funny, I encourage my team to go to law school and then I miss them when they're gone. So I
Right.
try to keep them in house, but she's in law school. She's my only remote paralegal at the moment.
Yeah. And so you've been on your own since 2019. It's now 2026. So we're talking 7 years. How do you feel about what you're building? Like, what would you say your goal is? Like, is this the size? Like, is it like, hey, six of us with you is the sweet spot? Are you looking to go up higher or stay the same, or just what do you see business looking like over the course of the next 10 years?
Well, actually, at the beginning of the Trump administration, I had hired another attorney, an associate attorney, to join me. But the Trump administration has been very tough on the immigrant community, and she couldn't handle it, which I completely understand. And she was very honest with me and decided to take a lower job in the government, and we remain good friends. So I'm currently seeking another associate attorney. So my sweet spot would be getting another associate attorney. Now, if you were to ask my team of paralegals, though, I think they would tell you they want to open 5 more offices and expand. They are a bit more ambitious. I'm not saying I'm not, but I like to give the best service possible and focus on the clients that I have. But they do want to keep expanding because they like working on the visa cases. Since I like doing more of the removal, detention work, that does drain you a little bit. So I
Sure.
would love to have another immigration attorney that I can share the workload with, and that would help me a lot.
So are you the primary, or I mean, obviously you're one of the primaries, but is there another attorney, or is everyone else in support roles, or is there anyone else who can go to court or actually defend someone besides you in there?
Sadly, as of last month, I am the only attorney, and I'm hoping next month I'll have another attorney. So to be continued.
And so if somebody is watching who is an aspiring immigration attorney who is also in the Miami area, you have
Definitely. If you're female, because
and you're
we want
female
to,
and you're not American. That's they
or if
already
you
have an
have
amazing scope.
an immigration story you want to share, because I'm Puerto Rican. So, maybe if you want to share your immigrant story, my firm, give me a call. Join me.
Let's go. So you are looking to hire someone else, and you said the people who are under you would like to expand. So tell me, what does like work-life balance look like for you? Because I mean, it seems like that is a heavy load. I mean, are you able to take off weekends, get some time in, chilling in the evenings, or just what's an I guess the better question would be, what does an average day or a typical day in the life look like for you?
Well, we force part of the manual, and we force each other, meaning everyone in my team and my husband, to keep a work-life balance. For example, if I'm in the office and it's 5 o'clock, I will be the first one who will step outside and remind the girls, you have to go. You have to go. It's 5 o'clock. I'm not going to pay you overtime. That's my joke. I'm not going to pay you overtime. It's over. You have to go. Similarly, if I am out of the office, I know my top paralegal, my office administrator, my right hand girl, she's going to send me a message letting me know, get out of detention, stop it with the workload, stop it with the day, stop writing that motion. It's over, done. So we try to keep ourselves, each other in check, because otherwise it would consume you. And if we don't do it, that's where my partner has been essential. He reminds me the day's over, drop it, because I care. So I will, I think all attorneys, when you care, you will continue working, you will check that email, it will consume you. So that's how I find the balance. Otherwise, I think if I were single or if I were working completely solo, I would not have a work-life balance. But having people next to me, that's why support staff, anyone who starts, I will always tell you, you need to find support staff. It might be pricey. Don't pay yourself. Pay somebody else first. You need that person to keep you in check.
Also, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask, what would you tell someone who's starting out?
My first advice is find that right hand. You need that partner. The only reason my office administrator is not the half owner of my law firm is because the laws in the state of Florida will not allow it. They force me to have the attorney be the owner of the firm. But she's the one that keeps me in check, that keeps me on track, and she's also the one that forces me to stop working. You need that support staff to for your sake, to help you stop working, to help you find that balance. You can't do it on your own. You may think you can, you cannot.
That's great that you have somebody that's so close to you, that's so intertwined in your business that you're like, this person could literally be my partner if it were legally possible. I mean, that's like a godsend. I mean, it's hard to find that level of loyalty of somebody who's bought into what you were doing in business.
Yep. Understand that somebody like that might be pricey. So that's why when you're starting, maybe in the first months, maybe the first months you're not going to have that salary that you want because you're thinking, I'm an attorney, I should make X amount of money. It might be worth it to pay that person and make that person feel valuable, to later on reap the benefits of having that right hand person that you need, because you're going to need it.
Yeah. So what you're talking about this person, this could be the answer to what I was going to ask you next. But I was going to say, what's a big bet you've taken financially in your business? And maybe it's hiring this person and paying their salary, or is it something else? What would you say are a big bet as an entrepreneur that you're like, hey, I need this to pay off?
Actually leaving my partner in 2010, I opened that law firm, and with somebody who he was my business partner but also my best friend. Leaving him and following my husband's advice was a bet emotionally, because my best friend, but also we were doing well. I mean, our firm was split in doing personal injury, which any attorney can tell you is incredibly lucrative, and immigration. There is a big difference with the amount of money you can make doing immigration law and the amount of money you will make doing personal injury. When I left the law firm, I remember discussing with my husband that I would make significantly less if I focus solely on immigration. And his only question was, would you be happier? And I said, yes. So we took a very deep pay cut to open a firm, but it was the right choice.
I appreciate that you've niched down, and as I was mentioning prior to us, starting to record, that we're niching down. But even when I'm talking to people, constantly, I'm talking to clients, and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for an attorney to do something," and I'll say, "Hey, which ones have you found?" It's like, let's look at their website, and I'm always looking. I'm like, I want to see, what does this person do? Because I'm like, when I'm looking for an attorney, like if I'm trying to find an immigration attorney, I want somebody who just does immigration. If I need a criminal attorney, I want somebody who just does criminal. If I need an estate planning attorney, I want somebody who not on the side. I want this to be their thing. They live, eat, breathe this thing. And so I think that that's so very important with that you've niched down this, like, hey, this is what we do through and through, because I just feel like, it gives you a higher level of credibility. I'm sure you've heard the example before when people are saying, like, if you had to have a surgery, you're having a heart surgeon, do you want to go to a foot doctor or somebody who's like a general surgeon, or do you want to talk to somebody who does heart surgeries every day? It's like, yes, give me the heart surgeon.
Absolutely. And in that firm, it was excellent because our focus actually, we did personal injury, but our focus was on the immigrant community. They didn't know they could sue. They would have accidents and they had no idea they could pursue a claim because they thought, well, I'm here illegally. They're going to put me in deportation proceedings. This was back during the Obama years. Remember, he was the
Hmm.
deporter in chief. So people were very worried that if they pursued any accident claim, they would be in deportation proceedings. So my partner would do the personal injury claim. We worked together doing insurance defense, so we were great at it. And I did the immigration case for the client, but I hated personal injury. I just hated it so much. And I love immigration. So focusing only on immigration was the right move.
Yeah, and it's so, I mean, getting to do what you love and getting paid for it is amazing. So
Absolutely.
rewind, I was going to rewind back to you said earlier, and the thing is like, hey, you as you've been running your own business and as you've gotten older, you've made more mature financial decisions. I was just curious, could you tell us some of the things of like how you've started to like, I get the right word I'd say would be to build wealth outside of your business or different things that you've done so that you're very good at working for money, but can you tell us any stories or any things that you're doing to get your money to work for you?
Well, even now, just having the awkward conversation, awkward, yeah, for Hispanics, I would dare say it's awkward talking about money, and
Sure.
especially for Hispanic business owners. And when we compare with each other, and we're embarrassed to say how much we have saved or how to be invested, we're embarrassed. We don't want to admit that we don't know anything. It's good to admit we don't know anything. I've learned to have that conversation and to say I don't know anything. What should I do? Learning that I should invest. Normally, I would just have it in my bank account and be like, yeah, I have a savings account. No, I should give it to somebody who knows what they're doing and know that there's no small amount to start. And also learn how to have especially with your partner. Right now, this is the best example. We're having conversations of we have our savings, they're there in our investments. What else can we do with them? Looking at having conversations like looking at other properties, how else can we make money together? Those are things that before we wouldn't do because at least I'll admit that in my culture we don't typically talk about money, and we don't talk about money with others because we might be, like I said, embarrassed about not having enough savings or not being enough. And it's good to just put that embarrassment aside and understand that we have to save, we have to invest. Saving alone is not enough. If if you want to retire, you need to go beyond. You need to invest, and if you with your partner, you need to have a plan for something else. So that's something we're even doing right now, looking at even properties and what else can we do. And just start, because if you don't start even with that first settlement, that first little bucket, you're never going to do it. We started with just putting $500 away, and it adds up and it makes a difference.
I love that. That's great. So are you guys thinking about doing like some rental property? Is that what you're thinking about in the
Yeah.
background, it seems like?
You see what happens when you don't have the conversation. We didn't notice that we were paying our mortgage and paying, and then all of a sudden when we look, we're like, oh, we have a cushion, we can buy something else. So having that uncomfortable conversation leads to results. You need to have it. And in a marriage, you sometimes, the same way you don't do it in a business, you don't talk about have these savings because maybe you're embarrassed about not having them, or you think it's too little. If you don't talk about it, you might never know. We didn't talk about it, and we didn't notice we had it. Have that conversation. Maybe by talking about it, you'll notice you don't have it, and you'll plan on how to get it. So yes, that's what we're looking at an investment property. It's Miami, so yeah, let's see
I
what we
love
find.
that. And so do you have is in I it's interesting, and I found this is people will say that in other cultures maybe they don't talk, it's like taboo to talk about money. I also feel like that's a big part of the American culture too. Like people just don't talk. I feel like, and it's almost like people possibly, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I found that sometimes people who have a lot of money, they tend to talk about more money more with their children and just everything, whereas some people who don't have as much money, they don't talk about it. So then it's like nothing, the conversation never starts. So then everyone's kind of guessing and trying to figure it out, or just if there is no plan moving towards it. Do you have any ideas or any thoughts or any suggestions as someone who said that, hey, we weren't talking about this, now we're talking about this? What do you think would be the thing that would inspire people to say, hey, I need to talk about this more?
For children like us who now are becoming the adults, force your parents to do it. My parents didn't do it, and now I've noticed that I am the one that we have to take care of our parents. So I
Yes.
am forcing my parents. I notice I talk with my sister. We are 5 years apart. I'm in my 40s. So I talk with my sister much more about money than I talked with my parents. My parents did not manage their money properly. So I have to end up taking care of my parents, and they reach out to me because I am the older sister. Interestingly, my sister is an artist and she makes much more money than I do, but they think, oh, she's an artist. Meanwhile, I'm an attorney. I should make more money. So they come up to me. My sister and I have money conversations because we're of a different generation. We need to
Sure.
force our parents to have those conversations. And that would be my advice to our generation, to force our parents to no, let's discuss it, because that way we all discuss it together. Our parents got too comfortable avoiding the subject. They should talk about it.
Uh, I love that you and your sister. I want to say I absolutely agree. Like, I feel like that our parents' generation, like there's like, I feel like the grandparents' generation, especially for those possibly who grew up in America, were in that like that pension generation, like worked in factories, they had pensions. The next generation, which is like our parents' generation, was like the first like kind of like retirement 401k or you need to save. They did nothing, and now we're seeing like the great retirement crisis that's
Yes.
unfolding, and then like depending on their children. So what is it like talking to your sister? Like, is this like, hey, we're going to get on the phone and have a money conversation, or we're just on the phone and then money conversations come up, or like how are you guys facilitate, like how does this come up?
So it's normally my parents will make a bad money choice. They will bad money decision. They will call me, they rescue me because we made a bad money decision. I will call my sister to be like, could you believe mom and dad did this? I will take care of it. And then how do we prevent ourselves from doing this? And of course, she's like, how do I help you? I'm like, no, no, it's okay. I'm just venting to you, my best friend.
Right.
And we will plan. We protect ourselves from not making the mistakes that they are making, and we team up and force them to realize, because of course when they call to ask for a favor, they won't say I made a mistake. They're just like, hey daughter, it is your turn to take care of me, not because I made a mistake, it's because it's your turn. So we are forcing them to realize, you realize why I need to take care of you, you see what
Right.
wrong. And in the future, because otherwise they're going to keep making the mistakes unless we tell them this is what you did wrong and this is why I have to step up and take care of you. Please stop doing it. So
Yes,
that's
I
how the
love that,
conversation goes.
calling them
They reach
out.
out to me and I call her.
Yes. So you guys teamwork makes the dream work. You guys are like are on this in the background, like double teaming on the side. It's like, okay, who's going to say this? Who's going to, like, good cop, bad cop
Yes,
almost.
exactly. I'm
And
normally the good cop and she's the bad cop. I love her for that.
yes, that is nothing like an amazing sibling.
Best. She's the best.
So when I think about this, there's one of somebody who we both know from our networking group, Al Del Risco, is a private personal injury attorney. Every time I would call Al, he would say, "I say, Al, what's going on?" He'd say, "Hey, I'm living the dream." And I want to say, according to what you're saying, with going all in on immigration, building the firm the way that you want it to be built, and having the culture and everything that you have, it sounds like you are living the dream yourself from that. And now you're saving money, you're going to be investing money, you're growing some wealth. At the end of the day, what do you want the money, the wealth that you're creating to do for you? Like, what is the life, you're working, but like what is the life that you want to build? Like, what does, having the freedom, like, you have the freedom to do whatever it is with your money, what would you like to see that happen? What would you like to see it be at the end of the day?
So at the base level, I want a life in which I don't have to worry, in which I don't have to worry about my basic minimum comforts being taken care of. But I also want luxuries. Of course, we all want to travel, and I want to do so without having to worry about, okay, I need to get the paycheck to pay for this. I want to enjoy that, but I don't want to wait until I am old, and I want to be able to do so without having to worry paycheck to paycheck. So those are the goals now. Interestingly, preparing to meet with you, I thought I'm one of those that I think I will always want to work, but I maybe want to work on something that I don't care if I get that paycheck. Like I would love to work on veteran rights, and I don't know if that pays or not, but I think they deserve representation, and I don't know if they're getting it, and I would love to represent them. But at the moment, I am focused on my career in immigration law. So I would like a luxury life in which my basic necessities are taken care of. I can enjoy some traveling, and at the same time, I can work on something without having to worry about getting paid. And I feel valued, or at least I'm representing somebody who needs that representation, because I feel I like the underdog and they deserve that representation.
Absolutely. So you're saying that so you want the wealth to give you freedom. So like, so with, so more options.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it perfectly. The options to feel comfortable, be able to take a break, because we do feel like in the rat race constantly, we are very overwhelmed, be able to take a break, but at the same time, have the break work for you. Be able to enjoy the break and not just be stuck at the home because you can't spend money on the luxuries that you want on a day to day basis. But in the free time, maybe you go beyond luxuries. What else are you doing for the community? I don't think I will be fulfilled if all I'm doing is just traveling and eating. I will get fat and probably lonely. So I would still want my money to work on me being able to do something for the community.
I want to double click on the travel. Tell me about what I feel like every person I talk to says that they love travel, and I mean it's so great. But I like to ask specifically, what are the things about travel that speaks to you? Is it experiencing the culture? Is it the food?
Well, I'm
The
an immigration
destination? Huh?
I'm an immigration attorney, and I'll be a cliche. I think immigrants make America great. So I do think learning other cultures opens your eyes to the way other people think, the way other people act, understanding there's a huge world. So it goes beyond just eating the great food, which I do enjoy. I want to see how people live. I like going to another country and asking the locals, so what do you guys like to do for fun? So yes, I do like the touristy things. We all love them. They're fun, but I want to see other cultures. I want to understand how other people pray. Why do they pray like that? Why are we here? What is your history? And if this is a historic place, I want to be there. So that's what I enjoy about traveling, the being there where something amazing happened, and understanding to the people there, why is this place amazing for you? Do you appreciate it the same way I appreciate it from history that I may have read? So that's why I enjoy traveling so much.
I love
That's what
that.
I
Can you
like.
share what are like maybe your next 2 to 3 destinations that you would like to go explore? Like what's top of the list for you?
Well, I'm dying to go to Morocco. For some reason, I've been
Awesome.
dying forever to go to Morocco. I want to check out Croatia just because some friends went,
Yes.
and same
I
thing.
hear
They're
they
like,
have great beaches in Croatia.
you see random places that you never think of, and they're like, "Yeah, Croatia's cool." I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go check it out. Never thought about it, and it's becoming really popular. But it's always been in my bucket list.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
need
like
to go.
everybody, and I know, I mean, not everybody, but several people I know went to Japan last year, and I felt like somehow I was missing out because I'm like, did I not get the memo that like, you know, how like green can be the color of the year? It's like Japan is the trip of the year, and everybody
I had no
went, and I
idea there
had
was a sale. I'm like, what happened? I didn't
right.
know. We need to go. Let me know when you go, Gabe. I'll
Yes,
join
I
you.
will let you know. So, what would you say has been the most impactful place that you visited thus far that is like it just has stayed with you the long, like from getting back, and you're like, wow, that culture really just rocked.
Okay, so this is gonna be interesting. I went to China,
Okay.
and it was interesting to me because in China we had a lot of tours in which you could tell how a lot of people were brainwashed. I'll give you the best example. So the guy was my tour guide was really proud about how many things are made in China, and I didn't know how to be like, yeah, because you guys steal the trademark and you make it here. And he's all proud, like, yeah, Huawei is made here, and I'm like, yeah, you stole it. Like, so it was one of those. And then you're in Qing Square, like I mispronounce all the Chinese names, but there's a lot of history in China that is very controversial, and there's cameras everywhere. So I'm explaining to my husband like, oh yeah, this happened here, and the picture of the guy in front of the tank and this, and then I'm looking around like, are we gonna get arrested because I'm telling you all this like seriously anti-communist story?
For
China
sure.
was very shocking to me because then you see this side of communism. You go to Shanghai and you see this side of communism that is very weird. There's so much money in China. it was great trip. I loved it, very eye opening. It goes to why I like to travel. I was really into the culture. It was lovely country. I enjoyed it, but it was interesting. It was very interesting how speaking with people there. I like to talk to random strangers. So maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And of course, I want to be like, oh, you're brainwashed. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm brainwashed. I don't know. But it was a very interesting trip.
That sounds very interesting. So, in wrapping up, I wanted to ask, so you live in Miami. When you're not working and you're not traveling, what are some of the things you enjoy doing?
So before, I used to work out a lot, and I say before because I had a knee injury. Advice: when you're over 40, if you're gonna be doing CrossFit, make
My God.
sure make
Yes.
sure you know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and yeah, I tore my ACL and my meniscus, so I had surgery. So now
Oh
I'm
my
going
God.
back to lifting weights. I do like to work out, so I'm slowly doing rehab and going back to working out. I do enjoy that, and I'm Puerto Rican, so I like being outside. Anywhere where there's a beach, you'll find me. That's what I enjoy the most.
I love that. So, what's the guilty pleasure you like to spend money on?
Besides traveling, I love to eat.
Okay.
And because I'm Puerto Rican, the greasier, the better. In Puerto Rico, we call it chinchorrear, which is when you go from greasy spot to greasy spot by the beach. And it's my favorite activity ever. I love it. I love eating greasy food by the beach. Yeah.
I love that. What would be a top luxury that you love to indulge yourself in?
Top luxury,
Like, like it could be anything. Like this is a luxury to me. Like for
Botox.
me, just give you an example. A random thing is I like, and this isn't like an overly expensive thing either. Like it could be anything, but like I love finding random like kind of homemade soap, like body soap. And so like I'll be walking down, like I'll be at a farmer's market and find a place that makes homemade soap, and I'm like buying tons of it, and I'm like feeling like I'm in a hotel when I'm taking my shower, like using this homemade soap. So that's like a random luxury that I
Okay.
like. So what's
Then you're
something that you
I'm
any
gonna remember that. I'm gonna buy you soap. Then you're gonna love this. I have two big dogs. I have a pit bull and I have a boxer, and I love dressing them up. And they hate it, but I love buying them stupid dresses and taking pictures with them. And I mentioned this because I sent you guys a picture with my dog, and
yes.
they hate it so much. But I just love dressing them up in stupid outfits, and I know they are not gonna live as long as I'm gonna live, and I'm gonna look at those outfits and be sad, but I just really enjoy dressing them up and taking fancy pictures with them. I don't know
I
why.
love that, and I feel that because it is. I saw like an Instagram video the other day, and it was like loving a dog is kind of like one of the most. I forget the word it used, but it's almost like a heroic or like selfless thing you can do because it's like you're investing in a relationship that is not going to outlast. Like you're going to outlast that dog, and even when I see our own dog, sometimes I'm like, he'll be getting on my nerves, and I'll be like, I have to make the most of every day because I don't know how many. He's still he's only 3 years old, but I'm like, I don't know how long it is going to be, and there's going to be someday when I don't have him that I'm going to wish I could have just been in this moment. Actually, I'm going to go give him a call once. I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to go give him a hug. When maybe he's like, don't give me a hug, give me a walk when this thing is over. Is probably what he's looking
I
like.
do it to my cat too. She also hates it. Yeah. I love dressing them up. They're great.
You love that is awesome. Okay, so then my last question is what is something that you hate paying for? And for me, I hate paying for parking. I don't know that you can and so Miami got on my line because they charge for parking everywhere when I live there. And so like what's something that's like I do not want to pay for this.
Water. I really dislike paying for water. I just think it should be free. I'm like, why do we have to pay for water? So I just spent a lot of money now on this purifier for my house because I have incredibly frizzy hair. So I figure maybe it would help me have less frizzy hair. And I'm thinking, why? Water should just be nice to my hair. Why am I paying for this? And the same thing, like the water, tap water should be perfect. Why do I have to buy bottled water? And bottled water is microplastics. Why are we paying for this? Water should be free and accessible and for everyone. And the fact that we have to pay so much for it drives me insane.
I
Yeah.
love that. So there we have it. Water is what she doesn't want to pay for.
It should be
Well,
free.
thank you. Go ahead.
It should be free for all. Water.
I I agree. But I want to say, but living in Miami though, it's like I feel like when we were there, the water was a bit hard. And so it's like it's like I just remember like the shower water is like we had to get one of those filter things that you put on it because you would like see like the orange, like you could just yes, I don't know why.
$8,000 for a softener for my entire house.
Yeah, you have. I was gonna say now that is luxury in real life, and that's amazing. Like that's amazing. Like when you have great water coming out of your faucet like that.
The things we do for wrinkles and hair.
Yes. Well that's an investment that's going to pay off for you in the future as you continue to go on. So that's one of those internal investments that's going to continue to pay off for you.
I hope so.
Yes. Well, thank you for being on the pod and for just your time today. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to having you back again so we can have part two of this conversation. We could be talking about your rental property and the culture and all of the new people that you've hired and the things that you're now doing. You might have even opened might even just went with your paralegal's idea and opened up 3 more offices, maybe even have the dogs on the website. Who knows? Maybe they're dressed up as little attorneys.
I hope so. It would be lovely. And thank you so much for having me. It really was a pleasure. I love hanging out with you.
Thank you. We love hanging out with you too.